I'd like to call the Tuesday, February 18th, 2014 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Mrs. Butler, would you please take the roll?
Florence, Mumgard, Gaines, Glover, Jaworski, Klug, Stubbe, Ingberg.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
That is correct.
The current copy of the Open Meetings Act is published in the back of the chambers. We have one presentation tonight with Mayor's Youth Council. Want to go ahead and come on up? If you guys would introduce yourselves too, that'd be great.
Is it on? Yeah, okay. I'm Leah Pfeiffer. I'm a Mayor's Youth Council member.
Hello, I'm Ashley Blunk. I'm the president of the Youth Council.
Hi, I'm Kaylin Pratt, and I'm also in the Youth Council.
I'm Haley Roseman, and I'm also on the Youth Council.
All right, so on just this last Friday, we had a little, we called it a Launch Leadership Workshop. There's an organization in Nebraska that technically works with student councils normally, but I'm a part of it, and so it's called Launch Leadership, and they host these like one-day retreats to work on team building and brainstorming and all kinds of things, and so they designed a workshop for us, and so that's what we did Friday at the junior high. We started out with some icebreakers. We noticed even right away, we're trying to recruit like junior high age kids and high school age kids, and so we had like these major like cliques, and so we did icebreakers to like bond everyone together and like get to know each other as a council.
We had Mayor Black come and visit us out in the middle of our workshop, and we just want to thank you for coming and talking to us about leadership. We had a game called Ships and Sailors, and during Ships and Sailors, they just called out different like actions that had to do with like boating, and we had to follow them. And it was like Simon says, so if you did the wrong thing, you got out. And it just kind of helped us all, like, it got over that awkward stage of getting to know each other so that we were all just laughing and having fun.
We also did co-obstacles, which is where we had a group and we had to perform tasks within a certain time limit, but most of the time we couldn't talk. So we had to learn to communicate with each other and get everyone's ideas and see which one would work best without having feuds or getting in arguments.
And then one of our last events that we had for the day was to build the tallest freestanding building with paper and tape. So my team won, even though our structure wasn't necessarily the tallest, but it was the tallest freestanding. And there was a change in leadership about halfway through, so we had to kind of learn to go into a different group without knowing what was going on. We couldn't talk at all, so we were doing like hand signs and gestures, and we got through it all right with good teamwork and leadership, so yeah,
It was great. And then here's our group picture. We had the idea to have this because we wanted to use it as a recruitment tool. We did have about a fourth or fifth Monarch attendees, so we're working on that a lot. Right now we only have about 2 Monarch members, but Haley here is one of them. But we're working on expanding and getting both schools' voice onto the council, so we're working on that.
They had 2 people today come up to me and give me applications, and they both came from that.
Wonderful.
So,
awesome.
Thank you for that. Any questions? Mr. Mumgard.
Okay, yeah, I'm really interested in your recruiting of the Monarchs. What do you, well, let's talk in general, recruiting. What are you finding is your biggest hurdle to getting people to join the youth council?
yeah, it's the fact that they don't live within the bounds of Papillion, so we're just trying to find those that are.
Like Monarchs, half the Monarch school lives in Papillion, and they have to live in, or they live in Livingston, so they have to live in Papillion to be on the Papillion Mayor's Youth Leadership Council. And so we have to find those kids that live in Papillion and also have the initiative.
Okay, what about for Papillion South? There's a good percentage there that doesn't live in Papillion. Are you finding the same problem there, or is there, I'm looking at the imbalance of just numbers, and maybe that's just natural, but I'm wondering if there's something we could do to help you on that recruiting.
something we could do to help. I don't really know.
Well, if you identify a hurdle, some problem, such as that, let us know, because, you know, that's a subject of some discussion among council members. You know, not that that's a bad thing, that South seems to have a predominance on the youth council, but it's been a discussion item, so I bring it to your attention.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Hoynes, Administrator's Report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. And President Blunker, Ashley, I would tell you that if you didn't already know it, yeah, I'm talking to you, Ashley. If you didn't already know it, Councilmember Mumgard represents a Monarch district, so maybe his interest in there. And so Councilmember Mumgard I'd also point out too that one of the uniquenesses, Officer Phil Taggett from the police department spends all of his time down at the junior high school, and La Vista is in a different city, and I don't believe they have a full-time officer as we do, and so he's certainly the foundation. We appreciate that. So, beginning my official administrator's report, before you say the Pledge of Allegiance again, Mayor and Council members, the long-awaited 2007 shovel-ready 84th Street project will be underway. So, Monday, March 3rd is the put the shovel in the ground day. It's important in several different aspects. One of them is that the road is being constructed, if you visually follow me, from the south to the north. So they will be closing Schramm Road, and I say completely closing Schramm Road from Schramm Road to Capehart. And that will remain fully closed until probably June sometime. There's detour routes that are around there, but to even leave it partially opened would have delayed this project even further. And the last comment on that project is the end date, or the delivery date for it, is December 15th of 2015. So got a couple of years in here, but certainly hope that will be a project there. Other things going on, we're working on or have in progress right now 17 plats in 15 different development areas in the city. One of those is the Public Works Building. You will see about a month from now a preliminary plat, change of zone, final plat at the tentatively scheduled for the March 18th City Council meeting. They're finishing up construction documents and such on that project, but very, very busy, and literally very few days go by where somebody doesn't come in and ask a question about what else or something new that may be going on. Mentioned it a couple of times, but I want to keep it right in front of you too. The fire merger consolidation with the city of La Vista is effective at 7 a.m. on April 1st. At the March 18th City Council meeting, Chief Bose will be introducing 12 new firefighters. The offers have been out, and they'll actually be on staff by that point in time. Mayor Black, when briefing him earlier today, asked a very fair question. Well, you only give them a couple of weeks. Keep in mind, compared to a policeman who it takes a year and a half, and said something about, well, the policemen have a lot more to learn, but then he says I'm biased. And when they apply for slow learners, I guess I deserve that one. I'm sorry, Chief Alous. Keep in mind that in order to even meet the entry-level qualifications to apply for the job, you must have a firefighter 1 and an EMT certification. So they bring a lot of value through the door on that day. And finally, conclude my report, Mr. Mayor. The Papillion Community Foundation is hosting their annual fundraiser this Saturday evening. So if you're interested at all in attending that, get a hold of Nicole or myself, and we'll facilitate that. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilwoman Klug, second by Councilman Gaines. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item D1, Ordinance 1687, an ordinance to approve the change of zone of certain real property within the zoning jurisdiction of the City of Papillion, Sarpy County, Nebraska, legally described as tax lots 25, 26, and 28, Section 21, Township 14 North, Range 12 east of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located at Portal Road at to be dedicated 99th Circle from Agricultural AG to Limited Industrial LI, to amend the official zoning map of the City of Papillion by changing the zoning district boundaries of the zoning map in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code and to provide for an effective date. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilwoman Klug. Item E1. Ordinance 1679, an ordinance to change the official zoning map of the City of Papillion in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code to adopt a zoning map to include ceded extraterritorial jurisdiction and to apply existing or future zoning regulations, property use regulations, building ordinances, electrical ordinances, plumbing ordinances, and all other regulatory ordinances of the City of Papillion pursuant to Nebraska Revised Statute 13327 and 16902, and to provide for an effective date. This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? I'll close the public hearing. Item E2, Ordinance 1685. An ordinance to approve the change of zone of certain real property within the zoning jurisdiction of the City of Papillion, Sarpy County, Nebraska, legally described as a replat of lots 1 through 85 and outlots A through G, Stockman's Hollow Replat 4, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the southeast corner of 68th Street and Peters Parkway from R3 with a specific planned unit development district overlay, urban family residential PU2, to R4, multifamily residential, to dissolve the PUD2 district overlay, to amend the official zoning map of the City of Papillion by changing the zoning district boundaries of the zoning map in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code and to provide for an effective date. This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Do we have proponents?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jeff Elliott with E&A Consulting Group. I'm here to represent the applicant, Celebrity Homes. This project, as was described, is on the north side of Stockman's Hollow. It's approximately 17 acres and it's currently platted into 85 single-family lots. Hearthstone Homes developed this area, and they developed it specifically for a villa-type townhouse project. Celebrity Homes has subsequently purchased this property. They feel it's better suited to a more typical single-family type housing product, and so thus the request to replat this area from 85 lots down to 62 lots and change the zoning to meet the house type that they propose to put in here. So we are in agreement with all of staff comments. We will comply with every one that they've asked us to do. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Do you have any opponents? Anybody want to speak against? I'll close the public hearing. Item E3, Ordinance 1686, an ordinance to approve the change of zone of certain real property within the zoning jurisdiction of the City of Papillion, Sarpy County, Nebraska, legally described as a tract of land located in the northwest quarter of Section 32, Township 14 North, Range 12 east of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the southwest corner of 114th Street and Highway 370 from Agricultural AG to Mixed Use MU and Multiple Family Residential R4, to amend the official zoning map of the City of Papillion by changing the zoning district boundaries of the zoning map in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code and to provide for an effective date. I'll open the public hearing. Proponents?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Larry Jobin, 11440 West Center Road, appearing on behalf of the applicant, Full Circle Ventures, Inc., and with me tonight from Full Circle Ventures, Inc. is Mr. Herb Freeman. Also with me tonight is Jared Morris of Olson Associates, the consulting engineers on this particular project. I would just point out that this is consistent, or this rezoning request is consistent with the amendment to the master plan that was on item E1 here tonight as well. And with that, I'm simply here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any other proponents? Do we have any opponents? Anybody want to speak against? Close the public hearing. Item F1, Resolution R140015. This is a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve the preliminary plat for the property legally described as a replatting of lots 1 through 85 and outlots A through G, Stockman's Hollow Replat 4, generally located at 66th Street and Peters Parkway. The applicant is Celebrity Homes, Inc. It is a public hearing. And proponents? No, for the record, you're still here.
Still here, Jeff Elliott, E&A Consulting Group, here to represent the applicant, 330 North 117th Street. Same testimony as I previously mentioned. Any questions? Be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Do we have any opponents? Close the public hearing. Do you have a motion to approve resolution R140015? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilwoman Klug. Any council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next, F2, Resolution R140016, public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a comprehensive plan amendment to the West Papio Creek future land use map for the northern 2/3 of the property legally described as the west half of Section 32, Township 14 North, Range 12 east of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the southwest corner of 114th Street and Highway 370. The applicant is the City of Papillion. Open a public hearing. Do we have proponents? Do we have any opponents? I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R140016? Motion by Councilman Gaines, second by Councilman Glover. Any council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F3, Resolution R140017, a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a preliminary plat for the property legally described as a tract of land located in the northwest quarter of Section 32, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the southwest corner of 114th Street and Highway 370. The applicant is Full Circle Ventures, Inc. Open the public hearing. Proponents.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Larry Jobin, 11440 West Center Road, appearing on behalf of the applicant. This is the preliminary plat that will allow for the eventual rezoning of this particular property consistent with the master plan that you just voted to approve. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Do we have any opponents? I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R140017? Motion by Councilman Ingberg. Second by Councilman Florence. Any council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F4, Resolution R140019, a resolution to approve an easement agreement, a sign agreement, with Papillion Development Settlers Creek LLC to place a monument sign on lots 1 through 6 and Outlot A, Settlers Creek Replat 6. Do you have a motion to approve Resolution R140019? Motion by Councilman Jaworski. Second by Councilman Gaines. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F5, Resolution R140020, a resolution to approve a permanent sidewalk easement with the Papillion La Vista School District on Lot 1, North Shore, for the North Shore Elementary School. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R140020? Motion by Councilman Glover, second by Councilwoman Klug. Proponents? Do we have any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F6, Resolution R140021, a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve the 1- and 6-year road plan. This is a public hearing. I'll open it. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R140021? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Florence. Any council discussion? Mrs. Klug.
Thank you. Mine is not really a discussion. I just would like if we could have Mr. Lemming take a moment or two and just give a general overview about how this can change as we move forward, that the dates may not be fixed, but they are our best intentions to continue to improve our roadways.
Yeah, to address your question, the plans that we're approving tonight, the one-year plan is based on our 2014-2015 budget. So if all of these projects get approved within our 2014-2015 budget, we will do these projects that are spelled out in the one-year plan. If not, they'll get moved back, and we'll proceed with them. We've got $350,000 for concrete repairs, various locations throughout the town. We're finishing up Washington Street project from Cape Art to Schramm. We've got money set aside that will start the N85 bridge replacement in downtown. We're setting aside money for 4 years on that because we're looking to do that in 18-19 year. And that's about a $6.5 million project, and our share is $1.6 million. So we're setting aside some money to do that. And we've got a trail project that we're working with City of La Vista and Papillion RD on. So a lot of our projects are big projects, and we're trying to set some money aside for these next couple years so we can do some of the bigger projects in the following out years. So that answer your question, Luann?
Yeah, can we also expand it to talk about how we sometimes get grants, how that actually works? Because I know you've been successful in the past.
Yeah, we you know, federal funding is a process. It takes some time. The Washington Street project's a fine example. Basically, you're going to get your money, but 80% of that's funded from federal and state dollars, but we have to follow guidelines. Usually when we get federal dollars, that process takes about 5 years from the inception that we get it until the time it's constructed. Bigger projects may take 6 years, but we've got to just follow all the guidelines on securing right-of-way and doing all of those stuffs by the T so that we can make sure that that money is secured. So,
okay.
But we try to go out and get as much of that money as possible. We're working on the Schramm Road from 84th to 90th on that. We've got that programmed, I think, in 17-18 to where there is money freed up for federal dollars at that time, and through MAPPA's TIP, we do have that kind of program for where we're going to get that 80% of that money at that time. So we're trying to get as much dollars as we can, but those dollars have a time frame, and we've got other entities in the metro area that are trying to get them too. So
Excellent. Mostly, Marty, I just wanted to hear about that. I think sometimes we kind of lose sight of how much work it takes to get these roads in, and that we can't just say we want a road and in 6 months we're going to the shovel and starting to make it happen. I know it takes a lot of time and planning on your part and the engineer's part and everyone's part, and I just think it's a good review for all of us here and also for our citizens to realize that we are working sometimes 4 and 5 years into the future, but our plans change not necessarily because we want them to, but because of external forces happening to us and the way that all of the governmental processes work. So Thank you for some of the explanation on that.
Mr. Florence.
Marty, you must have been reading my mind when you were talking about Schramm Road. So as I look at this, I notice that the budget is $4 million and change, and then in 15-16 it goes to 7 million and change, then back to 4. So Schramm Road is one of those roads we hear a lot about, needs pavement, and we hear from citizens about it all the time. So when you look at a plan that jumps from 4.7 to 7.5, how do you prioritize that if it comes to the fact that, we can't fund everything?
yeah, that's tough. The out years, the 5 out years, we look and we try to put those in order we can do them, but it's the dollars that are available, Troy, trying to get those available. And a lot of those out years, them projects keep falling back. So it's I wish there was a money machine in the basement and we could build all these roads that we need, but there isn't. And hopefully with these 15 plats and developments that are on, that some of these roads are, we'll get some assistance to build some of these, and they may fall through, but that Schramm Road, I know that's a tough one. I live in that neighborhood and we get calls all the time, and hopefully on that, through this Washington Street project in May, we're going to be putting a 2-inch asphalt layer on that section of road that's going to control the dust as part of this Washington Street. So hopefully that's going to buy us a little time over on that one.
Well, I appreciate that, and there are priorities, and I'll just keep trying to lift this one up to the top of the priority list.
Yeah, I understand it, and it's a $3.5 million project for that little half mile of street. We've got a lot of right-of-way to buy and things like that, so I agree. I'd like to see it paved too.
All right, thanks, Marty.
Yeah.
Mr. Glover.
I have two questions. One, you indicated on that stretch road, are we putting an overlay on the whole mile, or?
No, it's just a half mile, Jim, from 84th to 90th. That's dirt and gravel right now,
Right.
and it's really not a typical overlay. It's 2 inches of millings, and then they'll have some binder in it, so it's going to basically serve as an overlay. So it'll pretty much do away with the dust, and hopefully we're not in there monthly having to grade it and put our calcium on for dust control. So we're hoping that we tried to get a 3 and a 4 inch overlay, but the feds said that was total rehab, and they wouldn't go for that in this Washington Street reconstruction project. So that's what they gave us.
Okay, then the second question, in Dan's administrator report, he indicated the road would be shut from Schramm to Cape Art.
Correct.
When that portion's done, will the road be shut from Schramm to 84th Street, or?
No, the second portion is going to be from Schramm to Gold Coast.
Okay.
We had a public information meeting last week. We had about 60 to 80 people attend that. We have out on our website, our street department website, on our page, we've got a project page, and that shows the whole plans. It gives the detour routes, and the timing and that. We're going to be working with Channel 18 to keep people abreast on these closures and that. We've got a contractor that is put a pretty aggressive schedule together to do this project, and so.
What's the projection of the timeline on that section then?
Gold Coast or Schramm to Gold Coast, I think that was the end of June to September.
Okay.
And then they're going to be doing from north of 370 to Cedardale. That section will also be September or June to November. But that one will be with head-to-head traffic on that portion. So.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other council discussion? As we were talking about the funding of the roads, I think it's important to realize that the development does drive a lot of that, because as you know, when developers do major developments, they're contributing. They financially contribute. Those SIDs financially contribute to those roads. So as we get those 17 developments coming in, that does help define that, and that lets us keep up. So I think, Ms. Klug, to your point, the 5 and 6 years out does move a little bit depending on what's going on. So any other questions? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F7, Resolution R140022, a resolution to approve the naming of WP5 Recreation Areas Prairie Queen Recreation Area. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R140022? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilwoman Klug. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Did have one question on the significance of the name. The committee had met, and actually they reached out to both of the historical societies, Sarpy and Papillion, for areas of geographical significance or historical significance. And if people are not aware, that was the name of the school district from 1884 to 1957. So a lot of old Sarpy names went through that school, and the building actually was in place until 2002. It was the old Grange building at 114th and 370 that was then tore down when that building was there. So that name was significant from 1884 to 2002. Is there item F8, Resolution R140023, a resolution to approve a temporary construction easement and permanent water and storm sewer easements with SID 245 Summit Ridge on Lot 239 and Outlet A, Summit Ridge of the Summit Ridge Booster Station, generally located east of Lakewood Drive at Stony Point Drive. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R140023? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Florence. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
Next is committee reports. I don't believe any have met. There's one committee assignment that is pending. I think a date's being set. Public Facilities will be meeting with a subset of the library board to talk about future facility and needs assessments, and that will be in anticipation then of the council retreat, April 25th. Do we have any comments from the floor? Any comments from council? Just a couple of updates. Ms. Myers and I met with, had a Sarpy County Chamber membership luncheon with Project Search, a program of the Papillion La Vista School District. Mr. Hoynes, Ms. Myers, Mr. Carlson, and I also met with the Sarpy Chamber. If you're not aware, they did announce a new president, Karen Gibler. So we met with the new president and also the president of the board to talk about the Chamber's role in our economic development and the importance of that partnership. Also had a meeting with the Papillion Area Historical Society's executive board about a future project idea for maybe like a walking tour in the downtown area. Mr. Hoynes and I also met with the executive director and president of the Papillion Community Foundation regarding a potential project, maybe them taking the lead at Veterans Park, helping out with getting that going a little bit. So we talked a little bit about that. Number of us also met with a representative of the Army. I think I mentioned at the last meeting the Army reached out to us and wants some type of specific relationship with Papillion to military appreciation and that type of thing. And it looks like we might do a Veterans Day ceremony with them. Also attended went down to the legislature and testified at the Education Committee on two bills, LB 865 and LB 1101. One was Senator Smith and one was Senator Crawford, both with the learning community. One was to eliminate the common levy, and then the other one was to change the common levy and allow for some movement of the school boundaries in developing areas. Also met with the Leadership Academy. Remember we introduced last year that 18-month program for growth of internal employees, and we kicked that program off again this last month, so I met with them last week. Mr. Shea, biannual golf report, you ready to give it? Oh, you're not ready. Great weather, though, in the middle of winter. How was golf the last few days?
Today we were open today. Both golf courses were open today.
Good, very good. That'll be nice. And also met with John Erickson of the Papillion La Vista Schools Foundation. So starting to meet with a lot of our important partnerships this last time. Also a reminder, April 25th is the council retreat. And also the Mayor's Youth Council mentioned, but I did go visit with them about leadership, and actually a lot of what I shared was things that we've talked about in our own leadership internal program. And then Ms. Hanson and her staff partnered with La Vista and had a great seniors Valentine's Day luncheon. That's always a great turnout, and that's a great partnership with La Vista, and a number of us helped serve lunch there. And then also went and met with the president of Trinity Emmanuel and had lunch with some of their new members. They're an important part of the community. I think that's most of the updates. Any other council comments? Motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Gaines. Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
We are adjourned. Thank you.